Hey Facebook, jumping on here. I have to go over to a conference, but I'm just, taking in the election results like everybody else, waking up the next day. It's exactly kind of what we thought it was going to be. At least I know what Lance and I was thinking that it was going to be, which is we're not going to know. Everybody told us we weren't going to know. Pennsylvania told you we weren't going to know. Anticipating things like what's going on in Arizona. I mean, we've got a couple of days, the next probably 24, 48, 72 hours are going to be huge in terms of locking in this House victory. I'm listening to a lot of people saying anywhere between 5 and some even very optimistically saying 20 seats in the House. And so I think this is something to celebrate. Everybody wants to, the media, the things that you're listening to, I try to be really balanced because you've got, I call it FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. I don't know if you've heard that phrase before, but FUD, all the FUD that's out there right now. But then also, I also don't like to fall prey to just like the false hopium, narrative of it's all going to work out, because I'll be honest, it's somewhere right in between here of a straight and a narrow path that it's, yes to saying we need to celebrate the wins. I mean, we defeated Stacey Abrams again, conceded for the first time though, even though she's been beat twice. Beto O'Rourke, taking the triple hat for running for offices 3 times and never winning. So, for the younger audience, it's like, I don't know if you guys watch Mean Girls, but it's like, stop trying to make fetch happen. Stop trying to make Beto happen. It's not going to happen, okay? So, pick a different state, go somewhere else. But there's a lot of victories. It picked up a lot of seats in New York people weren't anticipating for the House. And so people were working very hard up there to win those seats. So I think there's a lot to celebrate. Us winning the House also means that that's just a hard stop right there. That sure, maybe it's not the referendum on the left, I'm not even going to say that, because I do still think we're going to pull the Senate out, but it's just a lot closer than people wanted it to be, and so you kind of run into issues like that. You can feel it. You can feel the American people's, and especially independents, moderates changing, saying, I don't want this type of stuff in my classroom. I don't want this type of stuff, influencing my children. No, you don't speak for me when you say every woman should have an abortion. It's like that type of a thing, like an abortion's a rite of passage. I mean, Democrats treat it that way for women. And so I just want to say that I think there's a lot of things to celebrate. I do think, with sometimes, especially within the church community, the things that I don't understand is, mistaking opposition for, this wasn't God's will, or when we have to work for something that, maybe God's not in it. And so if I lived my life that way, I would never have the type of things that I have. I would never have the type of opportunities I have, because sometimes you really, really have to advocate for yourself. You have to fight for what God's will is. There's plenty of Bible stories in there. I mean, especially just think about all the chapters on Israel, going to war to take territory, and to take the land of Israel, against the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Jebusites, all the ites. And there's a literal battle that has to wage. And obviously we don't do physical battle here in the United States. We do that through policy. We do that through legislation. We do that through politicians. And so we look at this and the state that we're in America didn't happen overnight. And so then therefore the fix is not going to happen overnight. I've said this a lot, that right now we're in essentially a 6-year campaign. And the goal of this election was to stop the U.S. ship of state from falling over a cliff. That was the goal of last night, and that was done. And I don't, of course, it would be great to have tons of seats and, a huge majority in the Senate and things like that. But I really do think we're going to pull out Republican House and Senate. It's going to come down to Georgia. We're still all eyes on Arizona. They don't know how many ballots are left to count. They're thinking anywhere between, estimates are 700 to 900,000 ballots. But every time a new group comes in, it's even more votes right now for Kari Lake at the time of this video. And so, it's all eyes are looking there, but boy, does this feel like a repeat of 2020. Does it not? That now we're going to have a runoff again, and the runoff should benefit Herschel Walker. It should do that because it was a libertarian candidate that was running. It's assumed that those votes would have gone to Herschel Walker, and so it's going to go right back to Georgia, and then a Senate majority is probably going to come down to Georgia. So, there's so much to be looking at and I think celebrating and still maintaining hope for. And I think the objective of this election was still achieved, which was to tap the brakes on just rampant government spending, Democrat policy that is ruining America right now. And so that happened. But now we're looking, here's the other thing I want to say too. I don't know why everyone is dumping on, well, I don't want to say everyone, but the stuff I'm reading is picking on Donald Trump. Like this was Donald Trump's fault. He picked bad candidates or he didn't really help campaign for them the way that he should have. I'll be honest, here's how I feel about this whole narrative about Donald Trump. The American people, it was essentially a resurgence of the Tea Party. The MAGA movement made Donald Trump. Donald Trump didn't make the MAGA movement. We elected Donald Trump because he gave voice to everything that people in the MAGA movement, America First policy, like stop rolling over to crazy political correctness. Do you remember before Donald Trump came in, it was like taboo. It was starting to become taboo to say Merry Christmas. And you're supposed to say like Happy Holidays. But just that crazy political correctness, he gave voice to what millions of Americans were thinking. The MAGA movement, the American people made Donald Trump. And my takeaway from last night are strong candidates like a DeSantis, when they're allowed to shine in a state, because that was a close race. We talked about this yesterday. He only won by 30,000 votes. But now look at the lead that he had over Charlie Crist. And Charlie Crist is not, he's a polished politician. It's not like this is like John Fetterman who can't put two sentences together. But I just want to say that I think it's example that strong MAGA candidates are the future of the Republican Party, are what people want to vote for. And I really think it's like a Dr. Oz. I look at Dr. Oz and I'm like, who put him forward? I mean, he used to be on with Oprah. He's very moderate, trying to really pass him off as a conservative. I didn't necessarily understand why Donald Trump endorsed him, but I look at stuff like that, and these are not strong Republican MAGA candidates. And I think by and large, those type of candidates lost last night. And I think there's a reason for that. So anyways, just a lot of different thoughts. I don't think it does any good to say, I'm watching the guys, like Ben Shapiro and the guys over at Daily Wire, and I love those guys, but I don't understand why now let's just go ahead and say, essentially saying DeSantis is what it should look like. And, Trump and his tweeting ways and his quippy comments, things like that. I'm like, I don't care. I love both of them. So, but anyways, I really do. I want to celebrate. I think that we're going to still have a lot of victories over the next couple of days. And don't mistake this idea, especially if you're in the Christian community, like it was not this, it wasn't a massive wave, it wasn't the red wave, it's like, I don't understand sometimes why our thinking is so simple like that you have to fight for in your life the things that you want. There's always going to be opposition, and I dare say if you're not facing opposition, I don't know if you're looking for the right things. I don't know if your vision's big enough. Let me say that. I'm not sure if your vision's big enough if you're not wrestling against principalities and gates of influence to achieve God's will in this earth. So we're in a battle right now. And so we're going to look at Arizona. They're counting all the ballots. There might be, who knows? There might even be a need to do a recount or to contest certain ballots. Who knows? We don't know yet, but we're in the battle. And so keep praying, have faith, have hope, because one of my big things is if the devil can take your hope, then he can take your faith. Hebrews 11 says faith is the substance of things hoped for. So if he can rob you of hope, you have to understand that is one of the biggest attacks the enemy's going to bring against you. He brings against people in the media. Like last night, think about that with Carrie Lake. There was so much pressure for her. She came in down 16 points. There was pressure on her. You need to concede. You need to concede. And she didn't. And she's like, no, we're going to count every single vote. And there's psychological pressure the enemy of your soul puts on you to lose hope. And I'm telling you, if you lose your hope, then you lose faith. And if you lose your faith, you lose the ability to move mountains. And so that's what I need for you guys to understand, that maintain hope, and then therefore you'll maintain your faith. And faith always has corresponding action. Faith in itself when you continue to read Hebrews 11, it is action. It says, by faith Noah prepared, by faith Abraham offered, by faith Sarah received faith to conceive. They're all action words. Go read it. It reads like a resume. If you write a resume right, everything on your bullet list should be like compiled database, you know, so they're action oriented words. Faith in itself is an action, and it has to be. So you know, keep, you know, there's different things you can do. If you're, you know, I've been listening, if you're a lawyer, you can get involved in helping, you know, observe a lot of these recounts. Also, same type of a thing. If you want to be, I think there's a lot of states that are still doing poll observers, and some of these cities, or I'm sorry, in some of these counties that are doing recounts. So that type of information's out there. You know, I really love Real America's Voice. I love listening to them. I love listening to Charlie Kirk. He's doing some great coverage too. And yeah, and so plus you can stay tuned with Lance and I. Will bring you all the updates as we get them. So anyways, guys, I just want to get on here, offer some hope, just some brief perspective on my part, and you know, let me know if you have anything. We're going to record later today in the studio some shows this week. So if you've got any type of questions or anything, you can throw them in the chat here. I'll try to check them before that. So anyways, have a great day. Be blessed. And we'll stay tuned over the next couple of days. It's going to be an interesting, I think we'll win. I think we are going to end up with victories in both places, but I think it's going to be a battle. So stay tuned. Bye.